again. How are you? Welcome back. Good to see you again.
I want you to saddle up and be out of Dodge by high noon in the morning.
Say it louder. Say it louder.
He's a heck of an actor.
Heck of an actor.
Yeah.
You even got the right word for television. Yeah. Heck. That's very good. But I mean,
I would say it'd be real.
How many people in the world in the history of boxing would you say could have beaten you?
Well, me? Well, it's hard to say. I watched some films of Jack Johnson, Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano, Johnny L. Sullivan, Gene Tooney, Ezra Charles, Walcott. And those fighters in those days, they didn't dance much. They just stood there and traded a lot of punches. I would say football teams today are better and stronger and healthier baseball teams than they were then, and the boxers are too. So Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano, Jack Johnson, Jack Dempsey were good in their day. I would say a four-motor jet prop plane that we flew a few months ago was good then, but now you like the jets. See, so you couldn't compare a jet with a prop, but still the prop was good for its time.
Don't you think those guys are bigger, much bigger nowadays? I mean, most of them fought around the 180s or something. You fight about
much bigger, much
212,
quicker.
250.
Even the same with the Western, with the Cowboys. I mean, they can't.
quicker on the draw and everything.
Much quicker.
They can't compare Tom Mix. They can't compare Tom Mix and Hopalong Cassidy and these fellows with you, you know. I mean, you know, those fellas have to do a lot of riding and shooting to get your attention. All he's got to do is to need a shave and put a dark cigarette in his mouth. Ride in town, you know, looking all around, music playing.
Welcome back. Have you, incidentally, while we're on the subject of things you don't do now, have you written any poems lately, or when did you give those up? Did you give them up, or do you still write
These
more?
These poems were just to promote boxing, you know, certain little fights, you know, the outcome and what round it would end in and this and that, you know. That's all it was.
So you've given all that up now, that you don't need to promote that. You'll have to start again in a couple of months' time. All those poems about I'll knock him down in 5, you'll have to do it again.
Well, I was real sure of myself at the time, but I'm 3 years old, I'm 3 years out of training, and so I wouldn't put myself on the spot because I don't know what would happen, you know. And it's Joe Frazier and James Ellis, the two new heavyweight champions you have, or they call them champions. They're pretty good, and I don't think I could predict accurately what would happen in that fight.
Other than that it'd only take a round. But I mean, how are you going to promote the fights if you're modest? Because one of the whole points was, you once told me the great thing was to make people hate your confidence so that they paid $100 to sit and hope you'd lose. I mean, how are you going to promote?
Well, I think if I ever got back in the boxing ring, many people would come to see if I'm still as fast as I was, and some I imagine still have the same old feeling, you know. He used to talk too much. You know, I'm not letting him get away with it. I still want to see him down. And I don't know. I think that the top-notch contender and myself, I think I wouldn't have to clown or pop off to draw the people like I used to.
Well, as you can see, in order to help get you fit, ready for the fight, can you show us what you do to a punch bag there?
No, well, I don't really want to, you know.
You old rotter! How about that?
They told me that you wanted me to show you how to hit a bag, but you didn't say I had to get up and train, you know.
Well, you don't have to get up and train, but I understood what we said. We said to your people, would you like to do a bit of training for the fight, and train Clint Eastwood and Harv Presnell, Josh Logan and I a bit on how to get fit, and your people said you'd love to.
I thought you had a heavy bag, you know. I thought you had one of those, 100-pound sandbags. But this thing is kind of awkward.
Is it? Why is it awkward?
Well, you have to, you know, it's real fast, and our timing is off.
This modesty will get you nowhere. It's not convincing.
Yes, but
won't you have a go at that?
why don't you try first?
All right, well, you tell me how. Come and tell me how. Come on over. Josh, incidentally, Josh, is it true, I read in one of your autobiographies that in the area of fitness, you once did a Charles Atlas course. Is that right?
Oh, yes. Yes, when I was 13.
Did you really? Isn't that marvellous? So if any of you are going to kick sand in his face, don't, right? That was the great thing. But what did you have to do in that? Dynamic tension.
Oh,
Did you
dynamic tension.
Did you ever take a Charles Atlas bodybuilding course?
Don't change the subject. You're supposed to.
All right. Okay. You tell me. Now, I've got to do it with one hand because I've got a bad hand here. Still, I always said I could beat Muhammad Ali with one hand, you know. But,
Seriously, I was told that I was to show you how to punch a bag. I mean,
all right. Well, can you do it? Can you do it with one hand? In fact, I mean, damn this.
See, my timing's off.
The timing's still slightly better than mine would be. How do you get the timing going? Do you see? Right? I mean, it's easy doing one, isn't it? But how? What's the thing of getting it so it keeps going like that? You see? You do it again. Come on.
No, it's just like.
Very good. Josh, come and have a go.
Can't do it.
Have a go. Come on.
I can't do it. How do you do it?
He's a little old. Let him.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's not. I will not have Josh Logan's as young as they come.
My timing's a lot.
My time is, I can do one, but... Hey! Hard! Come on, Hard. Come and have a go. Come and have a go, come on. It's easy.
I never punched one of these things before.
He's the gambler. He's the
Yeah,
gambler.
I'm a lover. Go ahead, try it. Go ahead, Jeff.
I can't do it.
Very
Come on, think of Charles.
I've
Think
never
of
been-
Charles.
I-
Think of
I've
Charles.
never been able to do it.
The spirit of Charles Atlas.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. Marv, one from you. One from you. All right, if you're a lover, caress it, but do something.
That's the only one that works.
Very good. We'll be right back. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Welcome back. I was just talking there to Clint Eastwood because Clint was saying that in a movie, it's the guy who loses who has to do all the work, right?
Yeah, well, usually the stunt guy, you know, plays the villain of the piece or something. The loser has to do most of the acting, yeah, the guy who throws...
Mohammed, what do you think actually is the appeal of boxing to people? To what extent do you think it's the noble art and people go and see boxing because it's you leaping about on the tips of your toes? And how much is it people go, in fact, to see someone get hurt?
Well, I don't think that people really want to see somebody get hurt, just like car racing, which is a real dangerous thing where cars are riding at 190 or 200 miles an hour and they pile up on each other. I'm sure people don't want to really see nobody hurt, but they go, I don't know what it is. It seems like they go wondering how it will look like, or wondering if it will be a knockout, or wondering if they will see blood or somebody hurt. And then when it happens, they don't want it, but yet when history is made, I would say, or something tragic happened, many of them just want to be there to see it, you know. So my intention never was to really hurt a fella or to hurt him. I would say a few sports announcers have criticized me for, they say carrying the fight, which means something crooked, it means it's fixed. But I didn't actually carry no fights, but I will admit that I have seen opponents in such physical unconsciousness on their feet. And I saw chances to really, I imagine, hurt them to the extent where it's possible to have a brain concussion. And I knew I was winning. The fight was just about over. And I've actually backed off and lightened up. I would say one of your countrymen, Henry Cooper, was an example. He bleeds easy. And whenever he gets cut, I mean, blood just gushes. And as soon as I saw this, I just lost all the fighting instinct and backed off. For about a minute and a half, I didn't fight, hoping that the referee would soon stop it. And the referee did. So my intention never was to really hurt or to really brutally hurt someone for life just for pleasure of a bloodthirsty audience. This was my livelihood, and I've been fighting ever since the Golden Gloves, the Olympics, the AAU, ever since I was 12 years old, and this is all I really knew. So this was a livelihood for me, but I didn't like really hurting someone. Never was my intention.
When were you most, however, you must have been conscious as those fists leapt out there of hurting people. When were you most conscious and most sorry that you hurt someone, apart from when Henry Cooper, obviously the blood started spurting out and so on, but I mean, were you ever conscious of landing a punch and knowing that you'd really hurt someone?
No, I've never actually hurt no one. This is one reason that many people never thought that I would go as far as I went, because I'm not known for having a lot of hitting power. I just hit, you know, so regular, but I never really hit hard. I had a knockout record, so I never really had a person in a condition where they were really hurt. I thought they were really hurt. I had them, as I just said, little dazed, but not really hurt.
But is that because you didn't have a knockout punch, or because you chose not to use it?
Well, I imagine you could knock a person out if you hit him. I mean, you know, anybody that's a top-notch fighter, a world-ranked contender, whether it's number 1 or number 10, and weighing over 200 pounds can knock you out. So, I mean, my intention never was to really hurt or knock no one out.
And won't be if you fight again?
Sir?
And will not be
No.
if you fight again? You've got a tremendous number of strengths, Mohammed, obviously. There's your physical speed, there's your verbal speed as well, and so on. What do you think is your greatest quality? What is your own personal greatest quality?
My footwork in the boxing ring,
Well, in life, really.
my greatest quality? That's a tough question, you know. Can't go. It's one thing about your English, when you're real smart. When a man's talking to you, he's got to be on his P's and Q's, because he don't know what he's going to ask you. But I don't really know.
Do you think you have a weakness then? If you had do you have a weakness at
I
all?
would say all men have weaknesses, you know. Many great men's weaknesses, you know, was various things that destroyed them. Samson, Mark Anthony, and a lot of them, you know.
Well, you haven't got long hair like Samson, so it's not that. Do you have a weakness?
Do you?
Let
me interview you for a while. What's your weakness?
I like it the way it is, actually. Do you think you... All right, now, here's playing safe. I'm never punctual. There's a really safe weakness, but I think that's true. We started a minute or two late today. Do you have a weakness?
I eat too much.
You don't. You're fit.
Yeah, I'm 20 pounds overweight.
20 pounds? Where
Right.
are they? You look as fit
Yeah,
as...
the suits are cut to hide a lot of it. Clothes make a big difference,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
the material. You know.
Well, there's a revelation. Muhammad Ali has his suits cut to hide his extra 20
But I would like to
pounds.
say something about these two fellas who I've watched in movies. Watching them, you know, like I'm the heavyweight champion of the world. I'm 6'2" and 225 pounds. I'm considered a big fella. But they are much taller than I am. Both of these fellas look bigger than I am, you know. And when you watch
Not
them,
from my point of view.
you know, I was surprised to see how tall he was, you know.
Yes, he's... Well, do you think you're as fit as...
What did Richard Burton call you? Shorty? Was that the...
No, he was kidding. Somebody asked him once how tall Clint Eastwood was, and he was trying to get some controversy about our heights, you know. And Richard said he said Clint's 7'1" and I'm 4'3". And he had the guy believing it for a few minutes.
Come back to that Charles Atlas course, Josh. What did you have to do in that? Well, I've always read those things for dynamic tension.
That
Well,
dynamic tension.
Well, what
That's
is
it was
dynamic
called.
tension?
I don't know whether he still does it, but I see pictures of him every once in a while. I was, good God, I was 13 years old. I was at Culver Military Academy, and I sent for these things, and they came every week. The first course was exercises. The first week. The second was some sort of diet, and I didn't like that. I skipped that one. But I took the whole
But
course,
it was all...
just holding on to, you know, pretending that you're lifting a tremendous weight, you see, and then pulling down something very hard, and pushing something this way, and pushing something that. It's now called isometrics.
Oh, well, I can hear the music. We've got to take a break there, so we can do a few exercises in the break. Josh, Clint, Mohammed, thank you very much for being with us.